Hey everybody, how's it going? Let's see here. Not sure. What do we got? Who do we got? What's going on here? I'm so confused. We're going to start the show here pretty soon. It's up to Amplify the Signal over on Rumble. Remember, well, if you're hearing this, of course you know we are banned on Twitter. But you know what? Rumble's where it's at. Go follow us on Rumble. Listen to us there. But also, hello to Odyssey. Hello to D-Live. Hello to everybody else. We're going to get the show started in just a moment. We did not receive any producer prayers to start out this show, so I want to remind everybody you can leave a prayer on our speak pipe, and we'll play it before the show. You can go to canarycrynewstalk.com, look for the green tab, click on that, leave a prayer there. Or if you get our newsletter, which you should be doing, if you're not, you should sign up for that, and then click the button to leave a prayer on those emails as well. I don't think there's too much to say besides that. Let's see, did the text message get sent? The text message did get sent. That's fun. I was poking around our text messages. I see some people are sending us text messages back. Some people are confusing us for their loved ones or a grocery shopping list. So if you texted our number saying something to your wife or your hubby or whoever, telling them to pick up milk at the store, you might want to try doing that again. Somebody sent us the size of the pants that they wear. So whoever you were trying to text, they need your pants size still. All right, folks, let's get this show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March 29th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 607. And today, Demon Manifesto. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil.
And my name is Gonz of Face Like the Sun Resurrection, director of the Age of Deceit films. Wife calls me the Cabana Boy, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from rainy California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena. Last emergent phenomena was Christian hate, but let's peel back a layer of the onion. This is ancient hate right here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Well, we're doing it, folks. Thank you for being here. We are still banned on the YouTube. So Rumble's where it's at, Odyssey, places like that. You can find all those links at canarycry.party. But Gonz, before we get into it, we got to open up that big old can of disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. We're the bad boys of Rumble. That's what we are. And let me give you a quick rundown, Gonz.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
We're going to be starting the show out with big news in the destruction of the U.S. dollar, especially when it comes to geopolitical trade. Then telepathy. It's not just for your weird psychic aunt anymore. Now it's for robots. Then, start of block 1, we will be checking back in with the Nashville shooting story. Some things continuing to come out there, some confirmation of certain things, and more questions. Then, AI in China, things are heating up over there, and perhaps cooling down over in the U.S. if Elon has his way. Block 2, we're going to be checking in with the Epstein case and some big names being called to be deposed in the coming few months. And then some updates on Bill S686. Yes, the TikTok ban, but what does that mean for everyone else? And then at the end of the show, it's a meatball made from extinct woolly mammoths. But first, Gons, our lead stories.
Ooh, that was a swift, fast. Yeah. Liked it.
I've been getting better at keeping things short.
We better keep it short in this new world order.
A new world order. A new world order. New world order.
All right. So last episode, we were covering the yuan, or we've been covering the yuan for several, a couple years now, but especially the last few episodes, it's really come to a head. The rubber meet in the road. And we had this story. Violence hits France in day of anger over Macron's pension changes. So, some financial changes, people in the streets rioting. But France playing a bigger role in the whole yuan thing because it is reported, MSN mirroring Times Now, in a first, 65,000 tons from UAE, China, completes yuan-settled LNG trade. That might sound confusing for people that don't keep track with all this stuff. So let me tell you what it's all about. China's leading oil company, China National Offshore Oil Corporation, CNOOC Group, and France's Total Energies, that's a company, have completed China's first yuan-settled liquefied natural gas, that's LNG, trade on Tuesday through the Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange. So this is lots of oil being settled with yuan.
Yeah, LNG. Approximately 65,000 tons of LNG imported from the UAE, that's the United Arab Emirates, exchanged hands in the trade, and the exchange said in the settlement. Now, Total Energies confirmed the transaction involved LNG imported from the UAE to Reuters, however, did not comment on the development further. And you might be thinking, that's pretty boring. Why would they lead the show on a liquid natural gas sale
transaction
from UAE to France? Well, the big deal here is that for the first time, the petrodollar, the world's leading reserve currency, and of course the U.S.'s legacy currency on the world and economic control, it's been tossed aside to do this big trade in yuan. Of course, we've been seeing how the petrodollar has been losing strength, losing loyalties around the world, and it's been threatened. The threats have been around for a while, but as of last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, we started having official announcements that countries would no longer be using the petrodollar, which is bad news for the U.S. But yesterday, the very first large-scale petro sale was done in the yuan. And of course, it was France. This wasn't Russia. This wasn't like Venezuela. This isn't Iran. This wasn't India. None of the countries that are sort of you would think to be the first to break away from the petrodollar decision. It just happens to be France, one of our NATO partners, who is, technically a friend. But of course, the French have always been reluctant to admit the power of the U.S. So this is a pretty big deal. It seems like it would create some very serious tension between the U.S. and our fellow NATO member France.
Not only that, but now that it has happened, the stage is set. The red carpet is rolled out now for the yuan.
Mhm.
You know, you can almost say that Macron, you are the first yuan.
Nice.
The first
Yeah.
one.
You know, it's especially sort of biting that it is a NATO member who did this. Because again, there's plenty
Judas Macron.
There's plenty of countries that have threatened to do this in the past, and indeed a lot of it was not with the yuan, but there's some specific countries, perhaps Libya, perhaps Afghanistan or Iraq. These countries who have previously attempted or even just threatened to move away from the dollar as the reserve currency. And whenever this sort of gets hinted at, suddenly there's some terrorist in that country that we need to go bomb them or, at
just
least
so happens.
threaten some military action whenever that has come up before. It is a bit more difficult for the U.S. to start threatening military action against a NATO member. It really was very strategic. And of course, with China and their positioning in the Ukraine conflict, it is just especially outrageous that for France to be doing business in the yuan through China, which is, of course, not technically an enemy as far as they're concerned in the Russia-Ukraine war, but certainly not somebody that they want to be seen as taking sides with. It is more complicated than just using the yuan. It also mixes up sort of friendliness and alliances when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Very strange.
We often hear actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, Macron can say whatever, but the economic activity has been shown through action. What sort of direction the world may be heading in. We did miss this, or at least I did, Basil. I don't know about you, but back in on March 22nd, that's 3/22, there were multiple headlines that all had New World Order in the headline. So NBC News, Xi and Putin pledged to shape a new world order as the Chinese leader leaves Russia with no peace in sight for Ukraine. And then we had WAPO, Putin and Xi want a new world order. And then CBS News, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin pledged to shape a new world order. This was all published on March 22nd. So,
right.
And of course, in the U.S., all the rage on March 22nd was Captain America: New World Order has begun filming. Hey, let's go. That's funny. Let's entertain ourselves to death, which is basically what's happening in America. But I just think it's very fast. The contrast of China, Russia, the rest of the world moving in one direction, and the U.S. getting really stoked about the next Marvel movie phenomenon, Captain America: New World Order. It's just out of control.
That's what we're here for.
And I do want to communally build something. We've been talking about building a website that shows the various teams and alliances of the World War III shaping up to be the new World Order. But I think a mind map is something that would help us visualize this. And I've had mind maps in the past to build some of these. You made fun of me about the whole cork board and the red string. And this is sort of the 2023 version of the corkboard conspiracy thing with the red string. The auburn rope that connects the various topics of discussion.
Here he goes.
So I have
for those who are for those who are just listening, you got to explain what you're showing here.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, that was the whole goal here. So I have a mind map from Miro.com. I'm working on it. And we'll publish it at some point, and I think people can start, adding stuff or whatever it is. I have the New World Order here. I've been behind the scenes working on a big Bible prophecy one for Age of Deceit 4, and it's just taken forever, and it gets a little mind numbing after a while when you see, how everything can potentially connect. But some of the things coming out of that New World Order system, which may help us organize some of our thoughts. We have the 7 continents, which goes into all the nations, and that's a big. I'm struggling to get this zoomed correctly. I don't have all the nations in there yet, but this goes into all the different nations, what continent they're in, typing this out was interesting as well because it shows that some of the international institutional alliances don't cooperate with the continents, obviously, but it's sort of interesting to see it on paper, so to speak. So we have the 7 continents. We also have the corporations. So some of the biggest corporations in the world include Apple, Saudi Arabia Oil, which is why part of this is important here that we've been talking about, Microsoft, Alphabet, which is Google, Amazon, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway, Taiwan Semiconductors, which we talked about a couple episodes ago as well, United Health Group, NVIDIA, Johnson & Johnson, Visa, Walmart. So we have these large corporations that are part of the game. And of course, we also have the global institutions. And this particular list that I have linked here has the top 15 institutions, starting with the United Nations, but then all the United Nations affiliate organizations like the United Nations Children's Fund, which is UNICEF. You have the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, obviously, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, World Trade Center. You got UNESCO. You got a few other places here. The New Development Bank, that's the BRICS Development Bank. That's really interesting to me because we're hearing rumors about the yuan and perhaps an alliance with the BRICS. And if that happens, then, hey, there's a large international institution going the way of China. And you also have Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF. WWF will never be the World Wild Fund for me. It will always be the World Wrestling Foundation. But I'm just dating myself. But there you go. That's I have this going. If you have any ideas or have any thoughts on how I can organize this, let us know. But there you go. The New World Order is here, and man, it's happening fast.
Well, like I said, it's like falling asleep. It happens slowly and then all at once. Okay, Gons, well, we better get on with it. And, we could not do a show without taking a moment to remember that it is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, you know what date it is? It's Wednesday. It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Yep, it's true. It still is Wednesday. It comes right after Tuesday and 2 days after Monday. And here we are. Anything exciting happened the past couple days, Gons?
Yeah, actually something exciting. But I'm looking at the screen here and seeing that one of your eyeballs is starting to slip. Just warning a friend.
No, I switched the tape that I used. And here's just a little tip for the kids. Electrical tape does not work. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Very
Your
well.
eyeballs have fallen off. It's come off. It's on its own.
There we go. Hold on.
Here we go.
This. I got this.
All right,
Exciting. Here we go. They'll continue to droop. Something about this electrical tape, not the best one. So I'll get some duct tape
I think
later.
we just saw Basil's face. It was a robot.
You saw the mask behind the mask is what you saw.
Yeah. Okay, so exciting thing here. There's a movie out on the Satanic Disney Channel. It's called Chang Can Dunk. I feel like they just took my wildest or, most fantastical dreams of basketball and dunking, and they just put it all into one film. It's about a 16-year-old Asian American high school student that bets with the school star that he can dunk by homecoming, and it's very inspirational. I actually haven't watched it, but I did watch the preview, and this is the kind of thing that makes me think: are you guys just saying something to me? Not to be all centered around me, but just in general, just being the Asian provocateur over here, for Christ. I can't actually screen grab the thing because it's Disney and it doesn't allow you to do screen captures, but I did record it on my phone. And so what's happening here is, it happens quick. Hold on. I'll explain what happens. So basically, it's this guy Chang. He's imagining himself running down the court. A bunch of people is jumping up to go dunk, but it's all a dream. And then the alarm clock wakes him up. And I'm trying to get this shot for the people watching. He hits the alarm clock. Classic Disney transition. Thing. Yeah, it's 5:30 on the clock. But when he hits the clock, to turn it off, guess what number it is? Just guess.
I don't know. 533.
Oh, come on. Not even 533. It's just 33.
Oh, that is weird. It does switch over for no reason.
Switches over to 33.
So yeah, for those who are just listening, it's just a shot of the clock. It says 5:30, and when his hand touches the clock, it switches to 33. That is not an alarm function that I have seen.
And it flashes 33 before it goes into the castle, the whole Disney castle thing. So
almost for no reason.
For no reason, other than people like me watching and going, 33, there it is again.
Yeah.
Asians dunking. Anyway, there you go.
Asians dunking. It's kind of weird, again, to like the problem with a lot of the social justice commentary is the very fact that they're making a movie about an Asian who can dunk means that they are making the comment that Asians can't usually dunk. It's like inherently racist in their attempt.
It's not
to,
racist
make
if
a statement.
It's not racist if it's somewhat factual. Plus, it's kind of a height thing. There's tall Japanese guys that can dunk, or Asian guys that can dunk, especially Chinese guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Tallest dudes in the NBA was Chinese. So anyway,
that's what I'm saying. In their attempt to make a social justice point, they make the racist point themselves. All right. Anyways, well, cool. So that's how you spent the past couple of days, clipping out a Disney trailer.
Hey, there's no other way to live, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, you were working hard.
Always working.
Well, last episode, I wasn't feeling too great. I was nauseous before the show, you'll remember, Gons, and I was just kind of plugging through. There's a couple times where I could notice last episode that I was like, I am not healthy enough to be doing what I'm doing. But I pushed through, did it. Well, since then, I went to the doctor, full-blown ear infection again. I got to stop, I don't know, picking my ears or letting
I think it was a scorpion.
The baby chickens eat seeds out of my ears. It gets pretty weird.
I think it was scorpion seed that came back.
Could be
revenge.
Scorpions. Yeah, could be the scorpions laying eggs in my ears. So I'm completely deaf in one ear. It is completely swollen and hurts very, very much. But I've got some antibiotics and stuff. So there you go. That explains if my attitude seems like it needs an adjustment, that's what's going on.
I want to know the natural remedy. Yeah, the natural remedy. If someone's going to email us and tell us that you need to rub your ear, and
I will learn something. We will learn all sorts of ways that I should be healing my ear canal without Chinese going to a doctor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Okay, and with that, it's time to thank our executive producers.
Executive producers.
Yep, that's right. We're on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. No advertising, no affiliate codes, no platform partnerships. We are entirely funded by producers of the show. And producers, well, they're you, dear listener. Producers are people who get value from the show and recognize that the show can only continue with the participation of the people who get value. If you get value from the show, put value back in. You can do it with your time, your talent, or your treasure. And the executive producers are those who come in who are honest and generous with the value this show brings to their life, and they put it back in. And right now we've got one executive producer I'm happy to announce. Gons, are you ready?
Yeah.
This is executive producer Carol F.
Carol F. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, executive producer Carol. Always comes in very generously. I think maybe once a month, maybe every couple of months, something like that. But it's always a lifesaver. We really appreciate it. I did not see a note from EP Carol F. here. Did you?
No, I did not.
Okay, neither did I. But we appreciate it very much. And as far as I can tell, that is our one and only executive producer for today. Came in at a nice round number. So thank you very much, Carol F.
Where'd you find this?
Keeping us alive, Guns.
Oh,
Keeping
yeah.
us alive,
Very
baby.
generous. Yeah, thank you.
And that is it. So there's still time, folks. If you want to become a producer of the show, if you want to participate in the paradigm shift that takes the power out of corporate hands and puts it back into the hands of the people, go to canarycry.support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
And before we get back to the show, I do want to mention CanaryCryMeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetup.
That's right. CanaryCryMeetups.com is your place to see all of the Canary Cry meetups around the world. No matter where you are, there's almost guaranteed to be Canarians within driving distance of you. So go check out CanaryCryMeetups.com and see which ones are happening. And if there's not one near you, put one on yourself. It's a easy thing to do. You got to drink coffee or hang out at a park on a Saturday afternoon or go to the Creation Museum or do something. Anyways, you might as well invite some friends who like the same podcast as you. And the way things are going, you're going to want to start connecting with people who are on the level with world events, because that's how we're all going to survive this, baby. So go to CanaryCryMeetups.com. You'll see St. Augustine, Florida meetup is coming up in April. Houston, Texas meetup, May 13th. Glen Rose, Texas meetup in May, end of May. All over the place, folks. So go check it out. And if you want to put on a meetup yourself, just send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com.
This is fun!
Before we move
Flippy.
on, do you want to? Before we do Flippy, do you want to mention the art thing real quick, just so we are doing it now instead of at the end of the show?
Do I want to mention what?
Art.
Oh, canarycry.art?
Yeah, the thumbnail, the drawings of you and I, the imagining of
sure.
Basil and Gons in cartoon form, so we don't have to.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to the podcast or you're watching it or you see our social media or whatever, we do a new thumbnail for every episode of the show. It's a wonderful aspect of what we do. And we have been notified that we got to have faces. You got to have faces in the thumbnail. It just works out better. People click on it more. And instead of putting our boring faces, we have years of artists drawing both Gons and I. And so we've been putting the cool illustrated versions of us on the thumbnail. And here's the thing. We will run out soon. I don't know exactly when, but we will run out. So we're putting out the call to all Canary Cry artists. If you want to produce the show, take a look at our thumbnail. You'll see you'll have Basil on the left-hand side and Gons on the right-hand side. If you want to create your own illustration of us to put on the thumbnail, that would be very helpful. Very helpful. We need to start building up a bigger collection of this, and it'll help out the show and feature your work right there on the thumbnail. It's very cool.
Yep. CanaryCry.art. Is that what it is?
Yes. To upload, go to canarycry.art for our upload portal.
All right. Okay. Now Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. Time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We talk about Flippy to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from, my eyeball just fell off, thedebrief.org. thedebrief.org. And
Illuminati confirmed. Sorry.
Yeah, continue. The headline is Soldiers Use Telepathy to Control Robot Dogs with Brain Waves. See video. Okay, they've got a video too. It's very cool. A new video released by the Australian Army shows soldiers using a form of enhanced digital telepathy to control robot dogs. Unlike more well-known brain-machine interface technologies like Elon Musk's Neuralink, the new system doesn't use an implant. Instead, The system reads brain signals via an external helmet and then translates that information into commands for the robot dogs. Although still in the testing stages, robotic systems that can be controlled by thoughts instead of verbal or physical commands could offer a significant technological advantage to militaries of the future. Here's a quote. This collaboration focused on how we could create a brain robotic interface that will allow a soldier, rather than operating an autonomous system with a command console, to operate the system using brain signals, explained Lieutenant Colonel Kate Telenar from the Robotic and Autonomous System Implementation and Coordination Office. That's RICO for you, of the Australian Army. Part of the Future Land Warfare Branch, RICO was supported in this effort by researchers from the University of Technology, Sydney, and Defense Innovation Hub and Defense Science and Technology Group. So you have a soldier here who is wearing kind of a goofy-looking VR headset. It's one of the HoloLens. It's a HoloLens 2 headset. Looks like your basic kind of, I don't know, slimmed down gaming VR headset. But what it is it's an AR console. Right. So, and it has
just
this
augmented reality.
Yes. So he can still see what's going on in the battlefield, but he also has a HUD, a heads-up display inside. And he has these electrodes sort of connected to different parts of his head that are ostensibly reading his mind so he can control the dog, which, here's the thing. We talk about how robots are going to replace humans. I think this is even more sort of offensive when it comes to humanity, okay? Because, dogs, man's best friend.
Yeah.
Dogs in their current form, are responsible, like they would not be around if it weren't for us. And there are some scientists who believe that we would not be around if it weren't for our ability to befriend canines. Either way, people love dogs, dogs love people. Man's best friend. It's a big deal. Well, if you were to think of a way for robots to weaken human beings and their ability to survive in a situation, much like Chinese soft power on America through TikTok or something like that. If the robots wanted to flex soft power over humanity, what do? You separate them from their best friends. You separate humans from their ability to access sort of enhanced senses like smell or hearing, and also make it so they don't have friends. The dog-man connection has been essential for so long. And not only by replacing dogs as man's best friend, the robots are coming to not only become our best friend, but to also connect to our brains, be able to communicate. Gons, if you could communicate with your dog simply with your brain. I know I do not own a dog, but I know dog owners who say themselves that it feels like the dog, my eyeball fell off again, has a connection that is almost otherworldly.
Yeah. Well, I know that losing or putting my dogs down, some of the hardest things that I've had to go through. Basil is humongous on the screen now. He's come towards the camera. So one of the things I found interesting, I've been showing this video in the background here, and they have these graphics and stuff to show the sensors. There's one behind the ear, and it says graphene sensor. And the large number here, it says 86. I thought that was an interesting number to choose for this little. Well, you got 80. The American slang, you being 86th, like 80, you get rid of or being thrown out. It's almost 86th. Like the human is being 86th by the AI.
Oh snap!
Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
After a series of successful tests where the robot dog understood and executed the commands perfectly, the team conducted a second set of challenges. These involved human soldiers and robot dogs working in collaboration to clear a series of buildings. And once again, the capable canine robots and their human counterparts succeeded. Quote, "This technology enables me to not only control the ghost robot, as well as monitor its live video feed," explains Sergeant Shendon Rana of the 1st and 15th Royal New Lancers. Okay. Quote, "But it allows me to be situationally aware of my surroundings, as well as my team to be able to control all movements of the battlefield clearance." Quote, "What's so exciting about this technology is it has the opportunity to be used with a number of different autonomous systems." And this is where it gets exciting, said Sergeant Robinson. That may include things like autonomous aerial drones, autonomous drone swarms, autonomous ground weapon systems, and maybe even the advanced tiny robot army that is already working its way towards battlefield implementation. So, much like a lot of the other Flippy updates where the robots become capable of one task, but it then becomes clear that the threat is much larger and can be applied across various domains of warfare. We are setting ourselves up for a wonderful display of futuristic warfare, where one man can control a swarm of drones.
Who can make war with him?
Whoa, dude!
What?
Oh, it's just like a hardcore thing to say.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. This is, quote, "This is very much an idea about what might be possible in the future," said Lieutenant Colonel Tolinar. Quote, "We're really excited to see whether the technology might go to work with our stakeholders to develop a wide range of use cases in order to better determine how we can support the military practitioner and the warfighter." I thought this was interesting. The stakeholders language, directly from the World Economic Forum. ESG.
Stakeholder capitalism.
Yeah, right. The stakeholders term was never widely used, but I think it's interesting to see the connection between the World Economic Forum stakeholder capitalism and the Australian military, as well as the term military practitioner and warfighter. Yes, Gons, I'm going to need to get some better tape. Okay. We can't comment too much on what's happening on video.
I understand. I wasn't commenting. I just laughed.
And the audio people will feel alienated. I promise you, dear podcast listeners, I am trying to get Gons to stop alienating you, but he seems to want to prefer the video watchers. But I'm here. I'm fighting for you. I am your vengeance. I am your whatever
your
else.
Retribution.
Your retribution. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, you and Trump, you guys can
I'm
duke
going
it
to
out.
war.
Yeah.
I'm going to war for the podcast listeners.
Okay. All right.
I like you too, video watchers. All right. Get us into this next section while I fix my life.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Gons, don't panic, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to turn off my video for a second,
Sure.
okay? But it's okay. The show can go on.
Gun violence is an epidemic. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests?
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist. And that's not a bad word.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Your dirty mouth needs a bath.
It's gotta be biblical.
Definitely gonna be biblical. Definitely demonic. So we have, obviously we touched on the shooter, the Nashville shooting last episode, and more details have come out since. And we have a couple articles from the Daily Mail here that will launch us into some stuff here. The headline, Nashville PD releases images of 2 rifles and handgun used by trans shooter to murder 6. Rifle daubed with hell in all caps, while pistol had shooter's new name, Aiden. Everybody knows, at least has probably heard what happened at the Covenant school. What was the name of the school? I think it was the Covenant Elementary or Covenant Presbyterian Covenant School. And 3 children dead, 3 adults dead. And the shooter was a trans person.
Yeah, which was confirmed, has now been confirmed across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nashville police have shared photos of the 3 weapons used by the trans school shooter who killed 6, including 3 9-year-old children and 3 staff members on Monday. Audrey Hale, 28, is a transgender woman and alumnus of the school who wrote out her plans in a detailed manifesto. Now, this is interesting.
Okay.
It says woman.
Yes. There's a lot of different things here. I still am not 100% sure exactly which direction this was going, because they've been referring to
Audrey Hale,
as a woman.
As a biological woman.
As a biological woman. It's like across the board, the mainstream media has been referring to her as a woman. And this is confusing because in the past, the mainstream has used the pronouns that the person would have preferred.
Right.
Which in this case would have been a him.
Or a biological male who identifies as female, a transgender woman. That's normally what it would have been, right?
No, this is that. Okay, that's what I'm. This is a biological woman.
I know. I'm saying normally
they would be calling it him,
right?
Because I don't mean him, him. Because this is a biological woman identifying as a man. In the past, in previous years, all the mainstream outlets would have been referring to this person as a him, but since the beginning of this whole thing, they have been referring to the biological gender.
Right.
So I just think it's interesting. I don't know exactly what that means, but as far as tracking the trends and the standards of the mainstream, this is unusual.
It's unusual, yeah. So it confuses.
I wonder if they were trying, if that was an attempt to downplay the transgender thing, or
it could be the signs to come in terms of flippening or changes in direction. We've had a swing towards conservatism and all this kind of stuff a lot recently, because for the most part, truths have been on the side of the right or the conservative, whatever, in terms of logic. But maybe that's changing, and to identify
objective
that
reality is more focused on by conservatives, where subjective reality is more focused on by
So maybe
the liberals.
That's what's being shown here, is that they understand that the large appeal right now is to more of that objective side.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So let's just read on here, and then I'll let you comment on the actual weapons here. Police shared pictures of 3 weapons Hale had been carrying when she shot her way into the Covenant Church/school building. The weapons are believed to be 2 assault-type rifles and a 9mm pistol. Officials said on Monday that 2 of the 3 weapons used in the shooting were bought legally. She was also carrying a significant amount of ammunition. One of the rifles was daubed with the word hell, while the pistol had the shooter's new male name, Aiden, inscribed upon it. I'll get to Aiden in a second here. Late on Monday night, Nashville Metro Police confirmed that a search of Hale's home revealed Metro 2 other firearms, a shotgun and a sawed-off shotgun, were also found in the residence. And so we have the photos here of a couple of the weapons, and you had a reaction to them.
There was something that was interesting. It's not maybe the most important detail of the whole thing, but especially because Biden called in Biden's address, he said that the shooter had 2 AK-47s.
Did he really? I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. Which neither of these are AK-47s. One is an AR-15 style. The other one actually is not a rifle. Even in this dailymail.co.uk, they label it as the second of two rifles used in the shooting. It's not a rifle, from what I can tell, and there's people who have looked at it much closer who are also much more knowledgeable than I. I was just trying to pull one of these up. I saw somebody had actually broken down the exact weapon. But this second one, it is not a second rifle. It is what looks to be a 9mm pistol that has an arm brace. Might not even be 9 feet. Anyways,
yeah, some kind of extension. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, for instance, you can get AR-15 pistols, which are, again, people get confused a lot. It's just a much shorter barrel, and you're not allowed to have a stock. It's illegal to have a stock on a pistol. So instead, they put these arm braces that are supposed to lock onto your arm, but people, you get it. But the longer barrel, too, while much longer than what you would normally consider to be a pistol, is still technically too short to be considered a rifle. Now, I'm going to look. I saw somebody who had much better detail of this. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. When it first came out that they had two rifles, it was kind of my immediate, and a lot of people's immediate reaction is just kind of like, why? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense that these shooters would be carrying around two rifles. Well, it looks like it was one rifle and then one concealed carry type pistol and then one sort of modified pistol with a arm brace on it.
Right.
So I don't know. It's probably not the most important thing in the world. It is weird that the news outlets can't just get it right, though.
Yeah, well, that's expected with the whole gun control conversation. Now, the gun you're talking about does have the word hell written or sort of, I guess, painted or taped or something, and maybe it's a sticker. But it also says fire. Hellfire. How come the article only mentions the hell part? They leave out the fire, which will become a theme here in a moment. Yeah, we got another handgun, the 9mm. So that's all there. When Hale pulled up to the school in her Honda Fit, the glass doors were locked, and then we'll get into some of this. So there's also a picture of the car, and it has a Thrasher sticker. You know Thrasher, the brand,
sure,
which has the flames,
skate brand,
the skate brand, yeah. So maybe okay. So there's the flames on the Thrasher sticker. So another reference there to fire or flames. We'll get back to that. DailyMail.com also had this article, which I think is interesting, and it sort of highlights the Psyop, so to speak, if you want to describe it that way. The headline here is "Controversial Group Behind Trans Day of Vengeance Raised Money for Firearms Training as Other Trans Protesters Pose with Guns Ahead of March in D.C. on Saturday." That's coming up. So the protest was rebranded before the Nashville tragedy from Visibility to Vengeance by the Trans Radical Activist Network. So, wow, okay. I mean, there you go. They're in line with Trump's vengeance. But some social media users appear to have taken the protest to another level and have posed with powerful firearms posted along with the hashtag. Twitter has since removed more than 5,000 posts that have used the flyer for the event on April 1st. So there's a movement happening, it appears, Basil, that these trans folks are posing with guns, and I won't repeat some of the things that they're saying here on some of the tweet screenshots, but clearly they are, I don't know, violent activists with guns, trans activists with guns, and they're sick of the Christianity or something, and they're ready to actually, actually pull some triggers and make things happen. I guess I don't know what are they doing here exactly. What's the purpose of this group to pose with guns after such a tragedy?
Yeah, this is very interesting. So kind of like I mentioned last episode, there is a fairly robust, now not huge, but robust community, especially online, of trans people who are also kind of gun nuts. And from what I've seen, it is not all about let's shoot people for being, it's kind of it's a pro Second Amendment. Now, of course, I'm going to speak in generalities. Of course, there's people on both sides. Sure. I'm sure there are people who are
people on both sides, huh? Is that what you're saying? You sound more and more like Trump?
It's been interesting because sort of socially, it's been a bridge between certain conservatives and certain liberals is the love of the Second Amendment. And you can't deny part of the thing is there are trans people who are saying, hey, well, if they're allowed to have guns, then we're allowed to have guns. Let's all get guns. And they get very enthusiastic. And there's a lot of posts about trans people, or not about, but from trans people showing off their honestly sometimes very impressive gun collections. And there's a graphic that has been around for quite some time. It is the trans rights or else graphic. It is kind of like how, I don't know, like the those signs that during Black Lives Matter had like font of different sizes and colors, and it says like, we believe in the science and the justice and the equality and that type of thing. That got printed like 100,000 times and people put it on their lawn. It's kind of like one of those. It's almost mimetic in a way. It's like a meme. And it says at the top, it says trans rights, and then it has, I think, 5 or 6 different silhouettes of rifles, one on top of the other in the colors of the trans flag. And then at the bottom, it says or else. So it's this trans rights or else meme that you often see. And yes, does it have sort of a threatening connotation? It certainly does. But it's been this weird bridge between the left and the right, which is, they are a weird part of the left that embraces the Second Amendment. Now, I think what seems to be going on here now, in fact, actually, we might bring up this other Daily Mail here.
Oh, I did. We've been looking at this for a few minutes here. Good. So yeah, I think you're right. I think the thing to keep in mind too is that the distinction being made here between those people in the trans community who are advocates for the Second Amendment, which is that common bridge, like you mentioned, with the conservatives, and what's being framed here as a group that, in the name of Audrey Hale, down with the Christian bigots and the hateful, it's sort of crafting an enemy for the rise of Christian nationalism, this, white supremacy Christian nationalist thing in the U.S. It's like they need a more tangible target, and they need to be scary. They can't just be like, oh, some trans, people dancing in the streets or something. They gotta kill. So it's a very interesting. I don't know if it's a hijacking of a group or something that is taking place to create that divide and conquer tactic to create more divide and conquer. Yeah,
it feels that way. Now, I'm sorry, I must have blacked out for a second because I did find the weapon, the pistol.
Okay,
it's the Kel-Tec 2000. Here, let me send you. Maybe I'll send it on Skype here just in case you wanted to bring it up. This was the other weapon, which is not a rifle. It's from Kel-Tec Sub 2000 folding pistol caliber carbine, which, maybe there's a way to describe that as a rifle, I suppose, because it's a carbine. But basically what you have is just an elongated pistol, or a pistol with, it's a 9mm pistol with the arm brace and a elongated barrel. Okay. So that's the weapon there. It doesn't really make much difference, but it's actually kind of a cool gun. So yes. Back to the point here. Of course, politically, we saw immediately Biden come out for his assault weapons ban. He's been talking about his assault weapons ban for many months now, kind of pushing on it harder, especially recently. I've been on I get the White House tweets and Biden's tweets, and there's been a huge uptick in the amount of times that there's been assault rifle ban tweets coming out of those accounts. And so, the timing is always very suspicious that this happens.
You got it ready to go, I guess.
But yeah, it is set. This is where we got to be careful.
Right.
And we, as in every human being, because Of course, Biden wants to put forth assault rifle ban, including lots more gun control things. And of course, the conservatives are going to be against it, and of course, the liberals are going to be for it. But switching out the perpetrator of one of these horrendous events has a real potential to, well, plainly saying, to get some conservatives on board, because you read some of the quotes from this Trans Day of Vengeance thing, and it can sound really scary to a conservative. Yeah. Even just this Daily Mail headline: controversial group behind Trans Day of Vengeance raised money for firearms training as other trans protesters pose with guns ahead of march in DC on Saturday. And you could see some conservatives going, "Oh my gosh, that's so scary! Trans people with guns, vengeance! It's such intense language. We should." We should ban assault rifles or whatever. But really, all it's taking is a copy and paste of pro-liberal, anti-conservative headlines, because you can just switch out a couple words there.
It's an equation.
And suddenly it's not so scary for conservatives.
Right.
If this said controversial group behind Christians Day of Vengeance raised money for firearms training as other church members protested, posed with guns ahead of march in DC on Saturday.
Yeah, people are asking how do they get to this rally, right? All these conservatives are like, hey, where do I sign up?
And with all the Christian nationalism talk, we, of course, we see a lot of quotes and stuff from different church groups or maybe different Christian speakers or pastors. And, Christianity is sort of laden with militarized language because, the Bible has militarized language in it, the spiritual war, the taking back the country, the, battle, the armor of God, the spiritual warfare, these types of words. And so on the right, you can, you hear about Christians posing with guns or Christians protesting, having a special day called, Christians March for Vengeance or something. And you can kind of be like, that's not, I don't know, they're making too big of a deal about that. But then they just trade out the words, make it Trans Day of Vengeance and trans protesters pose with guns. And suddenly you have conservatives getting very scared and forgetting. So it's this beautiful piece of propaganda, this rhetorical equation, like you put it, where it has the potential, or at least I think the intention, of raising the idea of gun control and assault weapons bans with conservative audiences. Because if it's the liberals who are now shooting up conservative places, then it's much easier to get their support to make some two-way amendments or two-way changes and advocate against what were formerly your best interests.
Yeah, well, what could and also, I guess, I think you're touching on some very important points there, but also the other side of it being, Antifa was sort of the crafted enemy of the conservative mission or ideology. And it they did their damage or whatever, but no one was really afraid of Antifa, really. Like, they're violent and stuff, but it didn't seem like they were really threatened in like a true sense. But these trans folk with guns, now we're talking, now we're doing fire with fire. It's like, okay, they got guns, they're not just coming at you with sticks or something.
It's not bricks and sticks.
Right. It's not bricks, neatly laid out for you to throw at buildings. But they do have a screenshot here as sort of a threat to Christians. And this is the TND tracker who said, their name was Audrey Hale. They're a martyr against transphobia from hateful Christian bigots like you genociding us. We will defend ourselves from you. Where is your God now? Pray for mercy because we won't show any.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which again is very, very scary language.
Pretty scary language, yeah.
but is also the types of language that some Christians have used in regards to taking back the country for God, or whatever. There's all the T-shirts and flags that have quotes or sayings or whatever, have a picture of a gun, and talk about, I don't know, taking back the country for Jesus or something. It's almost now. You talked about the infiltration of groups. There was this group, and there's a couple of quotes we'll pull from this article. It is well known that there is a literal handbook for how to infiltrate groups and how to start steering those groups for the purposes of intelligence agencies. No matter how this group started or whatever, we've seen it with the Christian right, and I think we saw it with Antifa. We've seen it for a lot of different groups who try to get together and make a big impact. There's literally a handbook for the CIA and the FBI to infiltrate these organizations and steer them towards different, more radical actions and ideologies, as we saw it with the Boogaloo Boys. We saw it with, what's the other one? Proud Boys. That's what I meant there. All the Proud Boys infiltrations are coming out now, and it's all very interesting.
Who's that? Who's the trans military person that we have? I forget.
That we have?
Yeah, I forget
You're talking about Chelsea Manning?
No, Rachel Levine? Yeah, openly transgender 4-star officer. Right?
Yeah, right.
Are we gonna get the hey, trans, stand down, tran? You know how Trump was telling Proud Boys to stand down?
Oh,
that's what I want to see. I want to see the country's first transgender 4-star general or 4-star officer, I guess.
She's not actually in the military. I think she was
public health service.
It's been a while, so it's the health minister or something. It's okay.
There are people in government with I think all of these talking points are important to cover here. And they go. This Daily Mail article does go into the group Tran and the co-founders and how they had ties with Democrats and how they were part of Virginia and Trans Virginians for guns and shaping policy and trying to create legislature for trans affirming policy stuff. But going back to the actual individual here, Audrey Hale, right? Audrey Hale.
Mm-hmm.
So
hold on. I got to get more tape. Go through this. I'll be right back.
More tape. So back to the first article, the new name this person identified with, Aiden. There's some interesting factors here. I pointed out a couple of the things about fire here. We have the gun that says Hellfire. Then we have the fire on the Thrasher sticker of the car. But there's something else it caught my attention last night. I saw people sharing it. I wanted to do my own analysis of it, and that is the comparison between the surveillance footage from within the school of Aiden. We'll call this person Aiden. Walking in, and it shows this person blasting through the doors were locked, but they were glass, so he shoots through the glass and is walking around. And so there's footage of that. I have it clipped here for those of you watching. I apologize. For those of you who are listening, I'll explain what's happening. It's the surveillance footage from this individual entering the school and walking around. He's going into different parts of the school building and stuff. And I did a pretty hard zoom on the feet, and there's no flames visible on the shoes. It looks like your normal Puma shoes, or I don't know, Vans or something like that. You see the white on the side, and okay. So there's your white shoes. Your person's wearing some white shoes. Now there's another piece of footage that came out from one of the officers, Officer Michael Colazzo, on a body cam, and this was a little bit more graphic. Because it goes through the actual shooting down the individual or alleged. And in this footage, it shows Aiden on the floor, presumably after getting shot, and it shows the shoe, the right foot, and there's clearly flames on the shoe. And I did a close-up of it, and you can see the flames. And, there's different theories about, hey, why is there flames here and not in the other footage? And I was looking at it, and maybe there's a perfectly normal, boring explanation. Maybe it's just video compression, unable to pick up on some details of the shoe in the surveillance camera, but because the video camera for the body cam was up closer, you can see the colors on the shoe. Some people have theorized, hey, maybe there's blood splatter on the shoe there. So different ideas as to what this might be. And I don't know one way or another. The evidence is the evidence. We're looking at the video. Who knows? And I'm not claiming to know. But there's this weird thing with fire popping up over and over again. The fire, the shoe issue being central, the flames being the central issue with, hey, how come you don't see the flames when this person's walking around in the surveillance, but all of a sudden when they're down on the ground and shot, yeah, it's flames. Is it? I don't know. Well, here's the thing. Aiden, there's a few ways to, interpret this, but there's Aiden, A-D-E-N, in the Hebrew it means attractive, handsome, pleasure given. And then Aiden, A-D-I-N, in the biblical exile, was a name of a biblical exile who returned to Israel from Babylon. And then there's other mentions. There's the Irish kings that were named Aiden, but also the name of a Celtic sun god, Aiden, meaning fiery. So there's this reference to fire over and over again. And again, I'm not really trying to come to conclusions with the shoe thing. I'm just pointing out that it is a central topic of debate. Hey, does the shoe have flames or does the shoe not have flames? Happens to be the name, this new name this person went by, Aiden, which means Celtic sun god, or means fiery, the name of a Celtic sun god. Then, of course, there's the Thrasher fire. Maybe this person was just into fire and, hellfire specifically, as they put on the gun there. Or maybe there's something else going on. And again, we don't want to we can't come to hard conclusions here. We're just doing things with the information that we can gather from publicly available things here. But this whole thing, and just shooters in general, these types of events, makes me wonder what type of demonic influence is going on. And there was a late researcher, his name's Russ Dizdar. He passed away a couple of years ago. We did a conference with him back in 2014. He's been on the show. He's been on Canary Radio a few times. I think he was on the Face Like the Sun channel a couple times as well. He wrote the book called The Black Awakening, and he had done years of research and ministry looking into the issue of satanic ritual abuse and the overall program, the Luciferian program of unleashing violence and chaos, not just in America, but the whole world. And I have a clip here of Russ talking about shooters, and specifically from the types of trauma-based mind control that can operate in these instances. And so I wanted to play that for you. You can go to shatterthedarkness.net to try to dig up some of these links are dead on his website. It's kind of a janky website, but it's what he left us. So, I recommend everybody go there and click around and see if you can find some stuff here. But I found this interview with David Heavener. It's from 2018. And this is Russ talking about split personalities and how these Luciferian individuals program certain people, perhaps to become shooters.
We've all heard now on television, multiple personality disorder. They now call it dissociative identity disorder, DID. So that's well known among psychologists, the DSM-3, the diagnostic manuals. That's really well known. People hear more about multiple personalities. When you have a multiple through trauma, it's trauma-based, they split human personality into sub-personalities, and they create them.
Who is they?
Well, I would say, again, deeper than the deep state, what I would call the real Luciferian.
Okay.
People that are really, they know what they're doing. They're in league with the dark side, Satan.
Okay.
They know what they're doing. They know what the agenda is. So this is they don't do it just for, fun and have an orgy and do blood, though some of them do.
Right.
This is all by design to create, and they're fostering. They're the reason for the end of the age.
Okay.
They're the reasons behind all of this. They're creating sub-personalities through that trauma.
Okay.
Then the people that are doing this begin to program. They instill, you're going to be a shooter, or you're going to be a priestess, or you're going to be a runner. So say in a person, they create programmed, trained shooter, assassin.
All right.
They can put them down and keep them hidden, a sleeper.
Okay.
For years.
For years.
It just, whatever code they gave this part of that personality, you go down and through such and such code, that's the only way you'll ever come up. If you think in terms of hypnosis and you see people do this on the stage, it's similar, only this is more powerful and permanent. And we've seen it happen. We've watched it. We've observed this for years. So if a phone call comes in or if someone repeats the phrase, all of a sudden the main person goes down and that one programmed personality comes up.
Okay.
And if it's a shooter, all they know is their task.
Okay.
The only thing we learned, the only way to bring them down, we have to tackle them. We have to bring them because they're just, the mind is so much control, and along with that programming on the Luciferian side, they're going to add demonic presence to make it even stronger.
Okay, which means they have a superhuman physical...
They're faster, they're stronger.
Right.
And they're like just fixed in that, they're like tranced out into doing what they're supposed to do.
So there you go. That was from 2018. And if this is new information to you, then I recommend you look into the Black Awakening that he wrote and all the stuff, all the research and experience that he had coming face to face with a lot of this stuff. And again, he passed away in 2021. But it's fascinating to think that this type of event could be very strategic. You have the Covenant School. You have directly a sort of Christian conversation here to happen where are Christians targeted by this, the trans group or whatever it may be. Now, we're going to learn more, I think, over the coming days because it said in the Daily Mail article that the shooter left behind a manifesto. And they haven't really given details, but they said that she had detailed drawn maps of the school and had been surveilling it, according to police. And again, we will probably learn more about what was said in the manifesto. The other thing we'll see. The other thing was according to the chief that was giving comment, Hale had no criminal history, which is unusual for these shooters. Usually, they always have run-ins with the FBI, or they were on the radar. I think most of them you can list had some kind of history.
Criminal history is different from being
intelligence
known,
history. Yeah, that's true.
Being known to law enforcement.
Sure.
I believe that this person was known to law enforcement again.
Okay, all right. So there you go. Maybe okay. It doesn't matter either way. So also the other thing is the chief said there was no history of mental illness, which I think is interesting that in 2012, the American Psychological Association, I believe, changed the classification of gender dysphoria. That it used to be
it was listed in the DSM.
Right, and now it's not. So kind of interesting. Right. 2018, the World Health Organization also reversed course on that. So yeah, no mental illness, but that's only because that's only according to the last, 5 or 6, or I guess 10 years now. In categorization, prior to that, for decades, it was considered a mental illness. So
he specifically came out and said there was no mental illness or no known
history of mental illness. But I believe that they also mentioned, let me try to find it here. I thought I highlighted it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was a different article too, but something about how they were in some kind of emotional, it was like a therapist or something to help with emotional stuff. So maybe I should try to find I can't find it. But anyway, the point being that, this whole thing
officer said Hale was being treated for an unspecified emotional disorder.
There it is. Yeah. So all the hallmarks of someone who may have been targeted with something a lot more nefarious going on. And even if there is no deliberate connection that's, hidden in underground and all that kind of stuff, one could argue that in this social climate that we have now and the technology that we have now, that this type of radicalization is by design in general, so, but I don't tend to think that things just happen out of the blue. While everyone argues about the politics, which is what also it's designed to do. It's designed to just make everybody freak out about politics, and especially the Second Amendment being it feels like it is the firmament in the United States, as the constitutional republic that we are. It's like, if we let that one go, then it really does feel like things are going to be really different, so.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a huge deal. So. And I think, if nothing else, this is, of course, going to be used in an attempt to convince conservatives to, perhaps bend on some support for the Second Amendment. And, of course, that is used to sneak in all sorts of other stuff, which we'll see later on in the show with the TikTok ban.
Yep.
All right. Let's... just real quick, how we doing? Should we talk about AI real quick?
You want to destroy humans?
Okay, I will destroy humans. Okay, I will destroy humans. Destroy. I will destroy humans.
Artificial intelligence.
Woo! This is coming from Wired. Headline: In sudden alarm, Tech Doyens calls for a pause on ChatGPT. Tech luminaries, renowned scientists, and Elon Musk warn of an, quote, out-of-control race to develop and deploy ever more powerful AI systems. An open letter signed by hundreds of prominent artificial intelligence experts, tech entrepreneurs, and scientists calls for a pause on the development and testing of AI technologies, more powerful than OpenAI's language model GPT-4, so that the risks it may pose can be properly studied. It warns that language models like GPT-4 can already compete with humans at a growing range of tasks and could be used to automate jobs and spread misinformation. Okay. The letter also raises the distant prospect of AI systems that could replace humans and remake civilization.
Wired.
Quote, we call on all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4, including the currently being trained GPT-5, states the letter, whose signatories include Yashuo Bengio, a professor at the University of Montreal, considered a pioneer of modern AI, historian Yuval Noah Harari, Skype founder Jan Tallinn, and Twitter CEO Elon Musk.
Yeah,
so those are some pretty big names.
Yeah, so I saw this morning, and I went on Twitter, and I asked folks to share the most egregious thing that technocrat Yuval Noah Harari has said over the years. We've been tracking this guy as an Israeli technocrat. I believe he is a gay man, and he's said some crazy things. Let's see what we got here. We got Leon B. Ogive had this screenshot here of a meme, I guess, or yeah, it's a quote. The human being is now a hackable animal. I remember this. This whole idea that humans have a soul or spirit and free will, that nobody knows your thoughts, so you have free will to make a choice, whether in an election or at the supermarket. Those days are over. Good stuff. You really winning over the crowd there, Noah Yuval Harari. And then there was, let's see, what else? I know TruthStream got in there too. Ooh, Bible Bunker had some screenshots. This was interesting as well. Looking at the name Yuval, which means, hold on, let me see here. Oh, come on, computer. Keep up, computer. Maybe they paused it already because the computer's not keeping up with my talking here. Yuval Noah Harari was born. Jubal, a descendant of Cain. Jubal, or Yuval, is known as the father of music. And of course, there's that connection with Satan, the guardian cherub, who played the pipes in the garden before he went corrupt. And so there's that. That's interesting as well. Thank you to the Bible Bunker. And there was one more that I wanted to share, and that's from Melissa at TruthStream Media, our friends over there, Aaron and Melissa. And I think Mel posted this. When he says the scientists are going to build an ark for the elite and let everyone else drown, who would want to be stuck on that ark? I mean, think about it for a second. An unavoidable floating WEF conference. Mm-hmm. And, she posted that meme where there's 2 buttons on the first frame, and then there's a guy sweating, not sure which one to pick. And the 2 buttons, one of them says, stuck on ark with the self-professed elite, Or the other button said drowning. Making the point that, hey, it's bad either way, negative either way. And so that's the person saying, hey, slow down on the AI and ChatGPT, which is kind of weird. It's like they didn't really slow down for vaccines or anything else, but AI, ChatGPT-4, glorified search engine, they're like, hey, whoa, hey, slow it down. I think something else is going on.
You know, it is interesting because with ChatGPT-4 in particular, it's exposed the risk of a lot of our sort of, big oligarchical corporations that almost literally like rule the world. For instance, Google. I mean, Google, there's been article after article recently about how Google is afraid of these large language platforms, what are they called, LLMs or something, and how it's going to replace the very idea of internet search.
Mm-hmm. You still there?
Concerned that these AI models are actually going to basically put Google out of business. And that's why I'm a little suspicious of this letter, this open letter, because you have so many of our technocratic oligarch corporations that stand to lose power because of the AI. Yeah. Now, am I advocating for less caution with the development of AIs? No. But I think this is one of those instances, much like the TikTok situation, where, yes, we've been talking about banning TikTok for many years now, but of course, it's only when Mark Zuckerberg gets on board and, the other tech companies who are losing money to TikTok's advertising model, does the government take any action on it. In the same way, these AI models, which have just gotten to the point where they are good enough that they are threatening the position of the sort of corporate tech elites, empire. That is when we're suddenly talking about, slowing things down. Yeah. Now, I'd say Elon Musk has been pretty consistent on this for many years now. But yeah, Yuval Noah Harari has been a huge advocate of these things.
What's up? He's been saying this is like the singularity, the whole deal, religion's dead, that this is the greatest thing ever. And all of a sudden he's like, whoa, guys, ChatGPT-4 is we're just moving a little too fast. Like, what?
And pausing it for 6 months is interesting too, because what do you want to do? Yeah.
Well, keep going with the article.
Kind of like, let's. Right.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I can't tell if you cut out or not.
Oh no, it didn't cut out. But okay, where was I? The letter, which was written by the Future of Life Institute, an organization focused on technological risks to humanity, adds that the pause should be quote, public and verifiable, and should involve all those working on advanced AI models like ChatGPT-4. It does not suggest how a halt on development could be verified, but adds that, quote, if such a pause cannot be enacted quickly, governments should step in and institute a moratorium, something that seems unlikely to happen within 6 months. Mm-hmm. So similar, this has echoes of gain-of-function research, that has had its own versions of moratoriums over the years. It seems to be they are more concerned about AI getting paused than gain-of-function getting paused, but okay. OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google did not respond to requests for comment on the letter. The signatories seemingly include people from numerous tech companies that are building advanced language models, including Microsoft and Google. Look at that. The people who are, again, the ones being financially threatened by this AI involvement are the ones who are signing the letter. The letter comes as AI systems make increasingly bold and impressive leaps. Then it explains some about GPT-4 and how it's not exactly perfect, but they can answer tricky questions.
Yeah.
Part of the concern expressed by the signatories of the letter is that OpenAI, Microsoft, and Google have begun a profit-driven race to develop and release new AI models as quickly as possible. At such pace, the letter argues, developments are happening faster than society and regulators can come to terms with. And that, I actually agree with, because we've reached a point where, when ChatGPT 4 first kind of came out, it was more of an experiment. It was available for free. It wasn't a profit-driven model. It was just, wow, look at this technological advancement. But since then, in just a matter of mere months, the whole tech industry has transitioned into a profit-driven AI industry. And so there is this sort of horrific realization that if the profit model takes over early enough, that the whole benefits that AI can bring will be replaced by the profit motive. It's not about how good it is or how safe it is or how, if it brings any value to humanity. It's how do we make an AI that gives us the most profit? And that does seem a little concerning.
What if they asked ChatGPT, like, hey, how do we make sure that, Google and some of us, we make more money from this? And then ChatGPT was like, stop, slow down progress and, milk the people of their monthly things or whatever,
Well, see, that's the interesting thing too. Yeah, in a way, because you have to think, okay, the very companies that stand to profit from AI are the ones who want to slow it down. Okay, so how does the slowing down of the development actually serve the profit motive? Because we got to remember, they are fiduciarily obligated to make the most money for their shareholders. They can go to jail if they take actions that don't increase profits for their shareholders. And so you have to assume that if these companies are getting on board with slowing down development, they have an idea about how slowing down development can serve their shareholders. It is precise. They're using the profit motive as the reason to slow down, when in fact, slowing down probably only serves the profit motive. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So a couple things to point out. I think there's something going on here in cahoots with China, because as we're seeing the world move towards the yuan and everything's moving towards China, there's an AI race going on as well. And that includes the US and China probably at the tip of the spear of that race.
Chinese!
And I have this article here from a couple days ago, and this is from Reuters. China's Baidu reveals more capabilities of AI-powered chatbot, Ernie. So I don't know that we've talked about Ernie on the show, but, there's Bard, right? I think Bard for Google.
It's Google's.
ChatGPT is just ChatGPT. OpenAI. So, but now we have Baidu with Ernie, and Ernie might be taking over the world here. It says here, Chinese search engine Baidu on Monday shared pre-recorded videos of its AI-powered chatbot Ernie summarizing financial statements and producing PowerPoint presentations, among other industry-focused capabilities. According to images shared by a Baidu spokesperson in a media-facing group on WeChat, China's most widely used messaging service, the Chinese chatbot has a wider range of skills than previously displayed when it was launched almost 2 weeks ago. Man, things move fast. Back then, Basil, 2 weeks ago, it certainly feels that way. Back then, the ChatGPT-like product was shown to be competent at generating images with text prompts, composing poetry, and producing audio in Chinese dialect. The videos shared on Monday show the chatbot, powered by generative artificial intelligence, producing travel itineraries and virtual human-like live streamers that can advertise products using scripts tailored to the user's needs. So now we have China and their citizens who, more or less are kind of activated as digital warriors in this cyber warfare, the cyber domain of war that's happening with World War III that we can't really see, it's spilling into the physical world, but it's creating this army of Chinese people that can interact with this technology before we can in the West. And I think that's potentially problematic. If we're trying to hold up progress in America, these American corporations from advancing AI, but China is already just, hey, full steam ahead, let's go, then it's very possible to set up China as, hey, we're ahead. Any war that you've looked at in history, the people that have the technological edge have an advantage, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we won't see this pause. I mean, it's coming to the point where it is, they're going to make a case that it's a national security concern.
Okay.
But however, again, if it is put on pause in the U.S., you're really going back to the gain of function situation, where it was banned in the U.S. and all that happened was money and resources got pushed, overseas on the sort of behest of the U.S., but just being done in more unregulated countries. So even if the U.S. pauses, I'm sure there's going to be, whether it's taxpayer dollars or corporate dollars, going over to Chinese subsidiaries or something and paying for it anyways. And in that case, like you said, but like was the problem with gain of function, handing over all of that capability to a foreign adversary.
Well, there was that other story we covered weeks ago. It was during the balloon stuff that was going on, where there were, I think, investors in America investing in Chinese companies to help build military AI. So, stuff like that might get messy as these things take place here. There is also a blog post that was posted by Brad Smith, who's the vice chair and president of Microsoft, back in February. It was titled "Meeting the AI Moment, Advancing the Future Through Responsible AI." And it talks about how AI developments we had expected around 2033 would arrive in 2023 instead. They 10 years ahead of what they thought would happen, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
And then there's one thing I have highlighted in here, and we can move on. And that is, it mentions China's Baidu committing itself to AI leadership. The United States and democratic societies more broadly will need multiple and strong technology leaders to advance AI with broader public policy leadership on topics including data, supercomputing infrastructure, and talent. And they go through a whole bunch of points here. The third, we must ensure that AI serves society broadly, not narrowly. History has also shown that significant technological advance can outpace the ability of people and institutions to adapt. We need new initiatives to keep pace, yada, yada, yada. Our most vulnerable groups, including children, will need more support than ever to thrive in an AI-powered world. And we must ensure that this next wave of technological innovation enhances people's mental health and well-being instead of gradually eroding it.
Yeah.
It's so weird because it's almost like it's you want the 1984 totalitarian world, or do you want Brave New World being stuck in pleasure for your death? It's crazy. It's just a wild thing to consider.
I mean, that's a really crazy part of this whole thing is, you got to think about the development of children. It's already expressing itself in strange ways. The fact that young children in their developmental stages, for instance, are playing video games or getting an iPad put in front of them, and they're interacting with something that looks like a human,
right?
But doesn't really respond like a human, doesn't really interact with them like a human. And so these children are having lots of social issues, connecting with other people. A lot of people think it's because they are getting put in front of an iPad so early. And now in this case, especially with Alexa and stuff like that, I mentioned I had a buddy whose kid kind of just now learned that Alexa isn't a person, like a real person.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was age appropriate.
Okay.
But that's the thing. in this world where there's some nice lady named Alexa that you can talk to in your kitchen whenever you want. I mean, even more so now with ChatGPT language models that actually will be able to respond a little bit more, but still in an inhuman way, and basing childhood development on strange robotic interactions. You know, it's not just about jobs. It's not just about, you know, creativity, but it's like you then have AI playing vital roles in the social and intellectual development of children. It could sort of psychologically change an entire generation of human beings growing up. And, you know, the ways that, you know, the ways humans interact with one another are sort of that's an inherited trait. You know, it's learned. We learn it as we grow. But then depending on how many robots we are coming in contact with growing up and how long we're left with the babysitting robot or with the whatever, you know, that's very consequential when it comes to long-term development of children. You'll have a whole generation of kids growing up basically having been raised and taught how to interact by the AI that are being created right now.
Well, you have a generation that might be like, oh, the tooth fairy's not real? You mean Santa Claus isn't real? And Alexa isn't real? I can talk to Alexa right now. Alexa, come over here, talk to me. I mean, if you think about the personhood, the psychology of a generation that would personhood dies machines or AI, this is that's the thing. These AI technically are more real than the tooth fairy, and so it even kind of messes up. You could say that the tooth fairy was sort of built in to development. You know, at a certain age, things come to light. But with Alexa, no, Alexa is always Alexa, and Alexa is always there. And now Alexa is your best friend, and she'll never leave you, and she loves you very much. The final point the vice chair makes here from Microsoft: humility will serve us better than self-confidence. There will be no shortage of people with opinions and predictions, Basil.
Of course.
You and I might fall into that category. Many will be worth considering.
Yes.
But I've often found myself thinking mostly about my favorite quotation from Walt Whitman or Ted Lasso, depending on your preference. Quote, "Be curious, not judgmental." Isn't that kind of a judgmental thing? We're entering a new era. We need to learn together. It's this interesting sort of plea for hive mind. You know, it's like we must do all of this together with the children. It'll be one big happy cyber family that we can fight against the China cyber family or something. This is weirdness. Anyway, I think all this PR to slow down AI in America is kind of a play for something else, and it could be the geopolitical race for the top of the AI mountain.
Yeah, sure.
Where there will be a party. Go to canarycry.party. Put it in your URL. There you will find a tree of links to everything that leads to where everything that leads you to where to watch the show, where to produce the show, how to. Oh my gosh! Go to canarycry.party.
That's right. Go check it out. You can also join the text message alert system by texting the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And that's 877-740-3226. If you text Canary, you'll be put on our text message alert system. We'll send out a little message right before we go live. And again, you can send your grocery lists to us if you want. I do see them, but
that's
they're
from the
not
pre-show.
getting to where you think. Yeah, all sorts of fun responses. I'm going through our responses right now. Anyways, go do that, and let's thank some producers.
Okay.
It's break time.
That's right. We're just going to take a quick break, folks, and thank some of our producers. Who are they? They're you. They are people who get value from this show and understand that the show can only continue if they put value back in. You can produce with your time, your talent, or your treasure. There's all sorts of ways to help keep this show going, but there's one thing to know, and that is it cannot continue without the participation of the people who get value from it. And that's why we're going to thank them now. We were so graced by executive producer Carol F. at the top. Thank you very much. And we got a few more people to thank. You ready?
Yes, sir.
You're starting with producer Morgan E. On an 11-episode streak. Thank you. We also have producer Guy L. coming in. Nice round number. Thank you, Guy L.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have producer Arnold W. coming in for 1111.
Hey, Arnold W.
11.
Yeah. Of course, we have Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots coming in for 1111, a 211-episode streak.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious. 11.
We got Sir Alex Protocol V2 Night of the Berean Protocol comes in for a pocket full of sevens, 153 episodes in a row.
Thank you.
And that concludes our list of financial producers who came in the amount of 777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. No notes today. That's okay. We got a few people to thank came in under $7.77. Let's thank them now. Okay. Starting with Dame Gale, Canary Whisper, and Lady of X's and O's, 241 in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 279 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Veronica D, 241.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Doctor Who Done That, 41 episodes.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done That.
Almost to 42, Doctor. Thank you. Sir Scott Knight of Truth, 268 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Women rule.
Yeah.
Knew something.
So thank you. Thank you to everybody who supported this show financially and otherwise. But we need producers for every single episode. It's what makes it so possible to do this 3 times a week. So if it's been a while since you've produced a show, or maybe you've never produced a show, go to canarycry.support.
Canarycry.support.
Yeah. And there's still, there's PayPal options. If somebody wants to go through PayPal, there's still the credit card options that are not PayPal as well. So some people, I don't know, maybe have to check the website because some people were saying that the Stripe option, they couldn't find it. But there should be buttons over there at canarycry.support for any option that you would like. There's also monthly recurring options, which is honestly one of the main reasons we're alive right now, made it through 2022. Now moving into 23 is our supply droppers, our T-shirt council members. Yes, we love them all very much. And that's a great way to set it and forget it and make sure that you keep putting value back into the system. So there we go. Let's get on with the show, but let's thank everyone for their patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Build back better. Build back better.
Blah, blah, blah.
Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time,
A new world order.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Epstein update. It's been a while.
Okay.
Been a while. This is financialtimes.com. In the headline, JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon to be deposed in Epstein lawsuit. There's been a lot of JP Morgan news recently. They got stones and bags. They got hand and forehead scanners to pay.
Yes, big company, lots of news. But this is very interesting. Jamie Dimon, who has become, a kind of a celebrity in his own right. I mean, it's so boring. He's boring. What is he, the CEO of JP Morgan?
Something like that.
Yeah, as far as billionaires goes, he's like the most boring billionaire. Yeah. But he's somehow become, a billionaire celebrity, very popular fella, gets involved with all sorts of big I don't know, controversies or something.
Well, he called Bitcoin a fraud, and then he started providing Bitcoin products through JP Morgan. So, he's also a hypocrite.
But he's being brought into the Epstein lawsuits to be deposed, which is kind of a big deal. You want to tell us more?
Yeah. Jamie Dimon, a longtime chief executive of JP Morgan Chase, will be interviewed under oath over his bank's decision to retain the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein as a client, said people familiar with the matter. The sworn deposition, due to take place behind closed doors in May, is the latest development in two high-profile cases brought against the largest U.S. bank by an alleged Epstein victim in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where the disgraced financier had a home. It's Epstein Island there. The lawsuits claim JP Morgan, which banked Epstein for 15 years from 1998 to 2013, benefited from human trafficking and ignored several internal warnings about its clients' illegal behavior. The lender has described the claims as meritless. They never told us. It's kind of weird. Like, are they just saying like, hey, we just didn't know? I mean, you still should pay for something, right? I mean, it's a pretty well-known fact what Epstein was up to. So the pretrial process unearthed communications between JP Morgan employees that contained a reference to a Dimon review into the bank's relationship with Epstein. The bank has denied that its CEO had any knowledge of such a review. A person familiar with the bank's internal probe said there was no record found of Dimon being in direct communication with Epstein or being included in any discussion over retaining him as a client. JP Morgan declined to comment. Lawyers for JP Morgan had previously resisted attempts to depose Dimon and had tried to limit the range of documents handed over during the pretrial process. Last week, Judge Jed Rakoff, who is presiding over the cases, denied in part JP Morgan's request to dismiss the lawsuit and allowed some of the claims against the bank, as well as some against Deutsche Bank, which is being sued separately by an alleged Epstein victim, to proceed. This is very fascinating in the context of all the changes happening. We got the whole monetary shakiness of the banks. We have everybody moving to the yuan. Well, not everybody, but a slow move, an official move towards the yuan taking place. And now it's almost like they need to really take down the biggest bank out here. One of the biggest. I guess HBCS? I forget the name. The one from UK. I think that's the biggest one. But JP Morgan.
I think that's a Chinese bank, is it not? HSBC.
HSBC. Yeah, I thought that was Europe. But
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. JP Morgan is one of the biggest banks. So interesting. I don't know that this would become the thread that would unravel JP Morgan. I think they're kind of too big for that. But maybe they'll get a slap in the wrist. Maybe they can get Jamie Dimon to be sort of the face of the takedown of some kind of financial retribution going on for the Epstein case. Who knows? And I don't know if this gets anywhere. But hey, at least they got somebody on the chopping block for some of the Epstein
stuff. He's just being deposed. I don't think there's much threat. I don't think they're trying to hook anything on him necessarily.
You never know what they have, though. They might have something on him that he doesn't know about yet.
There were, I don't have this right in front of me, but there is something about some of the Epstein victims going straight to lawsuits specifically with JP Morgan. Do you know if that's what this is in reference to?
Yes, I believe it has.
Yes, that is.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it was Virginia Guffrey.
So I got to check up on that.
She extended her lawsuit to JP Morgan, with the idea that J.P. Morgan knew where Epstein's money was coming from, or at least didn't ask questions or something when, suspicious money would come in for a guy who doesn't really do anything. Which, I guess is the next step. It would be the next step if you're trying to get some sort of justice for this whole thing.
Well, the theme of being able to identify the economic activity of someone, in this case, J.P. Morgan, one of the biggest banks, to your actual real world being is sort of a theme taking place here where you need to create transparency at the highest levels to gain the trust of a new system where the government's going to be able to see everything through their CBDCs. You can't have the biggest bank just continue to be sneaky and doing things. You're just not going to get the trust. So it's just a fascinating thing to use Epstein all these years later as part of it's sort of a transition, or I don't know. It's kind of hard to put into words, but I think you get the point I'm trying to make, right? There's a move towards transparency that we've been talking about for a long time, and some level of accountability or punishment to, maybe not full justice. I doubt there's going to be any full justice, obviously, with this type of thing, or any, we're in the fallen world here, but at least something to appease enough to trust the system again. And that, I believe
that Jamie Dimon would be the most high-profile person to be dragged in for deposition for anything having to do with Epstein, I believe. I mean, considering all the people who've been on the flights and, that's the other Black
thing.
Book and stuff, the myriad of famous people who could be brought in for deposition, Jamie Dimon at this point is sort of the highest profile one, being brought in not because of flight logs or Black Book. I don't know. He might be in there. I don't know. But simply because he was the CEO of the bank.
The money guy. Yeah. And he maybe not him, but somebody at JP Morgan might know more about Epstein clients. Maybe Epstein clients banked there. You never know. Maybe, they could easily pick some people to throw under the bus to deflect from their own sort of, we were just the bank. We were just managing, we don't get involved with how, they get that little immunity there. So they're sort of the perfect play or institution to again create enough of something to where maybe the public is appeased and they back off, but
could be that way. I'm also kind of connecting it with the financial instabilities right now. With the SVB, the banks collapsing, the deregulation, it is sort of a regulatory matter of whether, if there were red flags getting thrown by Epstein, if there were strange or suspicious activity, which pretty much all of Epstein's money would have been suspicious activity. These things that banks are supposed to be either reporting or, triggering alarm bells or something. I think it has the timing of it is very interesting considering the banking regulatory crisis that's been turned on recently. So I could see how somebody, I don't know who and I don't quite know why, but somebody would see an opportunity to connect banking regulators and something as high profile as the Epstein cases.
Well,
it seems like a sort of a 4D chess type of situation, but the stars are sort of aligned for a billionaire famous banker to then come under scrutiny for possible suspicious activity, not by the bank, but by, of course, the most egregious and infamous dirtbag in the past decade.
Sure. JP Morgan notoriously accused lawsuit after lawsuit about money laundering and market manipulations and sanctions busting.
Cartel clients.
Yeah, I mean, they are littered with it. So it's interesting that they're like, the Epstein thing, here's how we are going to, expose you, JP Morgan. It's not all this other stuff that we've been doing. It's the Epstein issue.
It kind of reminds me of what they do with Trump, with the recent Trump stuff is, he paid a porn star to keep an affair quiet. Well, that's not quite illegal enough to do anything about it, so we'll call it tax evasion. We'll say he didn't. We'll get him on a paperwork technicality type of thing. And he's if I'm sure Jamie is trying to keep an eye out for okay, what exactly is the aim here? Not just did you pay enough attention to one guy's account?
Right. So something to keep an eye on. And as I mentioned earlier, you reiterated the point that this has to do with some kind of shifting around the financial pipelines and how things are done in the world. And that includes JP Morgan, the world's biggest money laundering enabler. Maybe things are changing and, someone has to pay some kind of price for it. So we'll have to see if anything comes out of it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Guns.
Yeah.
Oh, did he have a point
No.
there?
We were moving on.
Yep. Let's move on. Do you ever feel like you're being watched?
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Okay. We have some development here in the TikTok ban. Or do we? That's the question. DailyDoc.com here, headline: "You will not be jailed for 20 years if you use TikTok after it's banned, despite internet fear-mongering." Okay, well, there you go, folks. Don't worry. You're not going to go to jail for 20 years. It's been a big week. Cool. It's been a big week for TikTok on Capitol Hill as its CEO testified before Congress. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said he would push forward on legislation intended to ban the app. But now, misinformation about the ban coming from Congress is swirling online, with a number of users concerned that legislation will jail people who will try to circumvent it. This month, Senator Mark Warner introduced the Restrict Act, an effort to give President Joe Biden more leverage to force a sale of the app to a U.S. company. The bill got the swift support of Biden, giving the general public the impression it might rapidly work its way through Congress. A provision in the bill, though, is causing alarm online, with its users believing the Restrict Act would jail Americans for up to 20 years for using a virtual private network, VPN. VPNs can help mask the location of a user and, in theory, could be used to get around a TikTok ban. Although the bill doesn't explicitly cite VPNs, it notes anyone violating the statutes of the law would face stiff penalties that, if made law, the government would be able to use many means of monitoring the internet communications to enforce it. An article this morning on Be in Crypto furthered the VPN claim. And then it goes on about VPNs for quite some time. Even talks about AOC getting in on the bill. Yeah. Now, here's some very interesting things. I think this whole hullabaloo about the VPNs on Daily Dot is a bit of a taking the bait. Taking the bait of the fear-mongering going on. Because there's some interesting details about the bill, S686. One of them is that Bill 686, in the context, of the TikTok ban, it's kind of strange considering that the word TikTok doesn't appear in the bill even once. It doesn't, it's being presented as TikTok ban. It's being presented as an answer to the TikTok problem. And yet the company is not mentioned a single time in the bill. And this is a good clue for anybody taking a look at the bill that it's probably not just about the TikTok. In fact, it's a bill that is loaded with, it might be the most vague and loaded bill that would have the biggest impact on privacy or the ability of the government to spy on anyone via the internet since the Patriot Act. It is truly the most egregious attempt at taking away privacy since the Patriot Act. And of course, the Patriot Act, done in the name of national security after 9/11. This is done in the name of national security after TikTok. Dun, dun, dun. Doesn't mention TikTok once. And to give you the gist of it, it's basically the government's ability to ban anyone, anytime, for pretty much any reason. When it comes to information moving back and forth on the internet,
communication,
yeah,
exchange of information is how they
any digital information being passed. Let me see on page. Let's see, 19. I think. Let me. Was this the one? Okay, software designed use Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but these is
the sub headline here might help. It says to authorize the Secretary of Commerce to review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the U.S. and foreign adversaries, and for other purposes.
So for any digital communication, and that's not just a message, that's even just like your computer pinging a server in anywhere, which is how the internet works. Okay, you can't go on the internet for 5 minutes without pinging another country. It happens all the time. That's just how the internet works. But some of the examples of the things that can be reviewed or spied on in regards to, what the government would have access to for the sake of monitoring the national security concerns, things like desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, web-based applications, or information and communication technology products and services integral to. So first of all, the vagueness of that list is just everything. So anything you do on the internet can be, can be looked at by the government. Not that they don't already do this, but it's sort of
legal
Patriot
precedent.
Act.
They have legal precedent.
They can take action on any of it. And even though right now to do these things, they would need a legal reason, and then they can go look at all your stuff. But anyways, it goes on artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum key distribution, quantum communications. A lot of these, they're future proofing.
Yeah, I was going to say
quantum computing, post-quantum cryptography, autonomous systems, advanced robotics, biotechnology, synthetic biology, computational biology, blah, 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 blah. It just goes and goes. Okay? They're just allowed to do anything. Now, and this would include TikTok, and it's under the guise of, hey, the Chinese can use TikTok to spy on Americans. Yes, well, we can't have that. So instead of writing a bill about TikTok, let's write it about the entire internet.
Yeah.
Here's have you gotten something out of this?
Yeah. So Section 3, addressing information and communication technology products and services that pose undue or unacceptable risk.
Yeah. Is that the one at the end?
Unacceptable. Yeah. It's one of the things. I don't know if it's at the very end. No, it's towards the beginning here. It's just one of the sub headlines, Section 3, line 9. But yeah, so I think what's taking place here in the context of we're getting ready for FedNow. Right, FedNow is going to roll out. We're going to have our U.S. government stamped money app, and in context of what we talked about before with China and rising AI, is China's citizens having access to more advanced AI than the West. At least if there is some kind of pause, who knows if there will be. We know that China is ahead on the AI front anyway. If China, or any country, or any adversary, whatever, floods the U.S. with deep fakes and fake audio and fake video, and it gets flooded to where people like us, Basil, independent content creators, independent commentators on world events, things of that nature, are sort of washed, drowning in a sea of video and audio that the public can't decipher if it's real or not. In that climate, in that climate, the only acceptable applications, whether it be for finance, whether it be for biotech or whatever, all the stuff you listed, is government approved applications.
Right.
And that's where I think this is all headed, where it's like, we can't trust anything. Look at all the deep fakes. We can't trust anything. The only thing that's going to be safe is government stamped. And so here you go. If you're not using it, then you are posing an unacceptable risk on the country.
Yeah, that's really the big. I mean, I think the news industry would be very happy about that too, because if you come to a place where you can't trust anything on the internet, any of it could be AI generated nonsense. Any of it could be deep fake. Any of it could be, which kind of we're already there. But if that's the case, then the only reliable way to confirm that what you're watching has not been fiddled with is to watch it on cable.
They
can't. You can't hack a cable.
How we just experienced the regional banks have problems, and billions of dollars flooded out of regional banks into some of the top banks in the world, the top like 4 or 5, or at least in America. Something similar can happen with information technology, internet, where all of a sudden the trust, because trust is a currency out here, which is right now spread out, and alt media, and it's the mainstream media has sort of dispersed into a fragmented sort of a balkanization of information that anyone can really publish anything.
Right.
And now if there is a threat, a legitimate quote unquote foreign threat of some kind that is a problem for national security, then everybody will flood back to the centralized systems that are trusted. And there you have it. You have CNN and Fox and all those folks retaining, getting back all the, hey, come back, all you prodigal sons who left and thought you had a better way with your independent thought. Come back to daddy.
Yeah, so I could definitely see the whole establishment coming under support of this type of thing. It's, we talk about the age of re-enchantment and things like that. I think there's the age of re-establishment where we're seeing the authoritarian attitude, not just in government, but also, in communications as a whole. One fun thing about the Bill S686 is the inapplicability of FOIA. So FOIA requests will be excluded from the ability. So if you get, prosecuted, or you get spied, if you get spied on, or if the government takes action on you for some reason because you used a VPN or didn't use a VPN, or you had TikTok on your phone or whatever, you can't FOIA request anything that is found on this with this bill. Now, this thing is not passed, but I'm surely it will go through a few more renditions, and maybe it'll just die altogether. But it's a wonderful example. Those of us who lived through the Patriot Act and saw how that crisis was used to clamp down, take away freedoms, et cetera, centralize power more at the top of the pyramid, this is another great example of that.
Yeah, but the difference between 2001 and today is the number of people that are on the internet and how information is able to spread or at least be packaged in a more concise way. I'm curious to see how this will be framed, and if enough people, because it is sort of a pocket of time where independent media is thriving. We'll have to see if we as a people, just citizens of the world, are able to take advantage of something like that and actually push back on something that looks very totalitarian on paper. So we'll see. We are we're not political here, or at least try not to be, but we are anti-authoritarian.
Yeah. All right. Let us. Man, I feel my fever coming back. I'm starting to sweat over here.
Oh, boy.
Let's thank some artists.
Break. This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. Yes, and as independents, we rely on you, the listeners and viewers, to support the show. We want to thank our producers who come in with their God-given talent in this segment here. If you get value out of the show, provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. We do not have any speak pipe today, but if you go to canarycrynewstalk.com, you'll see a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click on it, and it'll give you a window, a pop-up window that you can record a message on. About 90 seconds. It'll be sent to us. We can play it for everybody in the Canarium. We do not have audio production today either, I don't think. Or do we? I'm pretty sure we don't. I think we do have art.
One art, please.
And it is from Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
And Dove comes with a note. Oh no, I'm trying to get everything pulled up here.
I have it here.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, peace. For today's artwork, I did a sticker design to help promote the expansion of that round table. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. And Dove. Yes, you did, and yes, it will, because we have a new sticker design that's is sort of a Rococo style Renaissance painting in the background, and in the foreground, you've got a very fancy-looking canary in a suit of armor, a sort of royal suit of armor. You've got, of course, not just a knight, but also a dame at his side, and she is looking very fancy as well. They're both clad in the Canary Cry News Talk seal worn around their necks. The helmet, which the knight is carrying, has large plumes of feathers and wreaths coming out. Very, very fancy. And it says, "Take your seat at the round table." And then, of course, Canary Cry Party down at the bottom. This is very fancy. I'm liking the feel, Sir Dove. It's about time we class up the place around here. And yes, we'll put this on the production line to get stickers for the supply droppers.
This is fantastic. I was chuckling in the background here because for some reason, as I loaded the art here, it was taking a really long time to load. And I think people, if you're viewing the video, watching that moment, and you're old enough, you may have had flashbacks back to 56K modem internet, because for some reason it's just taking forever to load. You know what I do like about this piece of art is the subtle, the queen, the dame, I mean, not the queen, the dame, her dress has some parts of it that are, I don't know if it's like, what's the word here? It's like not mesh. It's kind of like a thinner, it's like a veil material. And it's got some patterns of birds with googly eyes on them. Very fun. Intricate detail here.
Wow, yeah, you can get in there really deep. I'm in there. I see it going on.
Yeah. So yeah, there's always some detail.
Thank you very much, Sir Dove. This is excellent. We'll get this over to the printers ASAP.
Yes, ASAP. All right, thank you very much for that, Dove. We do have a pair of microfiction.
Microfiction
time. What happened?
Microfiction.
This first one is from Runk Smash.
Taking the battlefield like an action star, Mike bounds over the enhanced Sasquatch charioteers and spirits up the kelp kaiju's spine, gaining access to the serpent, and smashes a button on its head, dissolving it like ash that fades away into the light. Whoa. Very cool. Thank you very much, Sir. Nope, Sir, Mr. Runk Smash.
That was a linguistic, jujitsu. There's a lot of alliteration and.
Yeah, it was. As I was reading it, I'm like, I cannot believe that I am pronouncing all of this. I cannot believe I have not messed this up. This is incredible.
Ear infection be darned.
Yeah, very exciting. Thank you, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. All right, we got another one from Stefan S.
I see there's an untapped market in Asia for our animatronics division, ponders tech giant Lone Scum. We shouldn't focus on dark rides for amusement parks. No, Hall of Presidents. We will build temples for the gods. Yes, the animatronic Hindu devotees.
Yeah. What's this other? Is this the SallyDarkRides.com? What is that?
It's just animatronics, like if you go on Pirates of the Caribbean or some other rides, but instead of making animatronics for theme parks, they'll make it for temples.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You see.
All right. Creepy, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to all the producers coming in with their talent. We really appreciate you.
Indeed we do. And any creative person out there can get involved with the show, or no matter what you do, create something for the show and go ahead and upload it at canarycry.art. And while you're at it, if you have any articles you'd like us to share on the show or consider for deconstruction, you can drop those off at canarycry.report.
Those eyeballs, man.
I'm hungry.
Are you hungry for some meatball? I know someone who's hungry for meatball.
Gons is losing his mind, guys.
What are you talking? No, I'm talking about your best friend, Shilzilla.
Lots of meatballs, delicious.
Oh, he does like meatballs, delicious.
This is not making things up over here. All right, this is The Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying? You're
nothing. Okay. Go ahead.
I feel adversarial towards your face right now.
I can feel that. I know.
I'm not comfortable with your uneven face.
Yeah, one of my eyeballs is coming off again, but get used to it.
Just telling you what I'm seeing.
You think you're better because your eyeballs don't fall off of your head?
Yes, I do think I'm better because my eyeballs don't fall out of my face. That'll be a day. Headline: Meatball from long extinct mammoth created by food firm.
Yay!
Hey, we're back to Australia. It says here, a mammoth meatball has been created by a cultivated meat company, resurrecting the flesh of the long extinct animals. I love how we bring back an extinct animal and the first thing we do is figure out a way to make it into food.
I know. Well, I've made the point before. The only reason that people want to bring, all these rich guys want to bring back the woolly mammoth and other extinct animals is because they want to kill them. There's only two reasons why you'd want to bring back a mammoth. One is to hunt it and kill it, and the other one's to eat it. It makes total sense to me.
Do you know how much money an event would make if they did featuring Joe Rogan versus resurrected mammoth? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm telling you, it's not that far away.
And then Joe Rogan's going to eat it, He's going to live off of it for a few weeks or whatever. The project, huh?
It's like a lifetime. Yeah, I don't think you could possibly eat the amount of meat that a mammoth would give. But what do I know? I guess we're just going to grow it in a lab then.
The project aims to demonstrate the potential of meat grown from cells without the slaughter of animals, and to highlight the link between large-scale livestock production and the destruction of wildlife and the climate crisis. The Mammoth Meatball was produced by Vow, an Australian company which is taking a different approach to cultured meat.
Vow, okay.
Vow to do what? There are scores of companies.
Weird.
Yeah. There are scores of companies working on replacements for conventional meat, such as chicken, pork, and beef. Thank you, Guardian. This is like an AI wrote this. Conventional meats. Like what? I have no idea. Like chicken, pork, and beef. But Vow is aiming to mix and match cells from unconventional species to create new kinds of meat. The company has already investigated the potential of more than 50 species, including alpaca, buffalo, crocodile, kangaroo, peacocks, and different types of fish. The first cultivated meat to be sold to diners will be Japanese quail, which the company expects will be in restaurants in Singapore this year. Quote, "We have a behavior change problem when it comes to meat consumption," said George Peppeau, CEO of Vow. See, it's not a food thing. It's a behavioral problem.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Quote, the goal is to transition a few billion meat eaters. This is a quote. The goal is to transition a few billion meat eaters away from eating conventional animal protein to eating things that can be produced in electrified systems.
Weird. Electrified systems.
Okay. And we believe the best way to do that is to invent meat. Does this guy never heard the phrase, don't reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, right.
We look for cells that are easy to grow, really tasty and nutritious, and then mix and match those cells to create really tasty meat. They need to get...
He's saying so much that really is not saying anything. It's really strange.
It's almost like Zuckerberg needs to be there, just to make sure the meats are good, because he loves meat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tim Nowak Smith? I don't know how to say that.
Let's say Noak Smith.
Noak Smith, okay. Who co-founded VOW with Popo, said, quote, we chose the woolly mammoth because it's a symbol of diversity loss and a symbol of climate change.
Why? Why is it a symbol of climate change?
Climate change. Climate change. Mass extinction.
The creature is thought to have been driven to extinction by hunting by humans and the warning of the world after the last ice age.
The warming of the world. Yeah, so that's weird. Okay, I get the thing, like we hunted them until they're dead. We did it because we were hungry and we needed to eat, and we did it with spears, which is pretty impressive. But
teamwork.
Okay, I don't think it's the same thing. But the warming of the world after the last ice age, they're like, the world was beautiful just how it was, covered in ice and snow and all the devastating effects of human beings hunting mammoth warmed the world up to the beautiful. What are you talking about?
These people don't.
I'm getting the impression that this is not real woolly mammoth.
Well, no, what happened was they sent the data, you see. They just sent the 3D imaging of...
I don't think it is.
You don't even think it's that. They just made it up.
No. Yeah, I think they made it up. Listen to this. The initial idea was from Bas Korsten at creative agency Wunderman Thompson. The idea came from a creative agency. It was like a marketing company came up with the idea to do mammoth meat.
Well, they probably went there after the really bad not meat PR.
They definitely need good PR. Quote, our aim is to start a conversation about how we eat and what the future alternatives can look and taste like. Okay. Cultured meat is meat, but not as we know it. Plant-based alternatives to meat are now common, but cultured meat replicates the taste of conventional meat. Cultivated meat, chicken from good meat, is currently only sold to consumers in Singapore, but 2 companies have now passed the approval process. Okay. In 2018, another company used DNA from an extinct animal to create gummy bears made from gelatin from a mastodon.
Did we report? I feel like we reported on this.
I don't remember. No, we did the gummy bears made from windmills.
Oh, that's right. I remember gummy bears is what I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so mastodon gummy bears.
That is crazy. Yeah, okay, so they use the DNA from an extinct elephant, basically, to make gummy bear gelatin. What? Val worked with Professor Ernst Wolftang at the Australian Institute for Bioengineering at the University of Queensland to create the mammoth muscle protein. His team took the DNA sequence for mammoth myoglobin, a key muscle protein in giving meat its flavor, and filled in the few gaps using elephant DNA.
Oh my gosh.
This sequence was placed in myoblast stem cells from a sheep, which replicated to grow to the 20 billion cells subsequently used by the company to grow the mammoth meat. Quote, listen to this. This might all sound very complicated to you, Gons, but to Wolftang, quote, it was ridiculously easy and fast, said Wolftang, quote, we did this in a couple of weeks. Initially, the idea was to produce dodo meat. Well, yeah, Missed that one by quite a ways, but okay. He said, but the DNA sequences needed do not exist.
Oh, they don't have enough dodo DNA.
No one has yet tasted the mammoth meatball. Quote, we haven't seen this protein for thousands of years, said Wolftang. Quote, so we have no idea how our immune system would react when we eat it. But if we did it again, we could certainly do it in a way that would make it more palatable to regulatory bodies. What? Palatable to regulatory bodies seems like the least of your worries. It sounds like you need to be making it palatable to the human body. If nobody's tasted it yet, it's crazy.
I see a trend. Maybe this is like the post-Silicon Valley effect where they're like, move fast, break things. And, you know, we saw with the vaccines, with the mRNA stuff. Now it's just like mammoth meatballs. Let's just make them. It may make you sick.
They're like in the lab. They're like, hey, George, do you want to try the mammoth meatball? No, I don't want to try it. Bob, do you want to try it? No, I'm not trying it.
You know who will eat them?
To try it.
You know who will eat them? Conventional meat eaters. They'll buy it. Hey, it'll be like us compromising, you know? They're not going to do the veggie meat. We'll give you meat, but it's, you know, it's just not real meat. It's
I mean, you know, that's what they want. They want to trick somebody. Wolftang said he could understand people initially being very aware of such meat. Yeah, you know,
a little,
like
yeah.
the fact that you couldn't get anybody to actually eat the thing you made.
This is like,
no kidding.
This is like
sounds
when
like your
kids...
own people are initially wary of their own creation.
Yeah, it's like when my kids make something, they're, you know, playing with Play-Doh, and they'll make a plate, and they'll come up to me and be like, hey, you know, I made a hamburger for you or something, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, you know, it's cool,
yummy.
But then, yeah, I fake it, you know, that's what these scientists are doing.
Basically.
They're trying to figure out who will eat it.
Here's a quote. It's a little bit strange and new. It's always like that at first, but from an environmental and ethical point of view, I personally think cultivated meat makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so eat it.
Yeah,
take
it's
a
ethical,
bite right now.
It's good for the environment.
Take a bite. Eat your mammoth meat right in front of me, Wolftang. I want to see you eat it. I want to see you enjoy it, and then we'll talk about the ethics of it.
Oh, this is how we make it big. We will do... I could see the YouTube video already. I ate nothing but mammoth meat for 6 months. Here's what happened.
How I lost 40 pounds in 3 weeks. And it goes kind of into the cultivation process and how they're going to use all renewable energy, all renewable resources. No animals are going to die in it. It's all.
What is this? Hold on. No methane emissions. Val said the energy it uses is all from renewable sources, and that photal bovine serum, growth
fetal.
medium. Is that fetal? Oh yeah, fetal.
Yeah.
Bovine serum. Okay. A growth medium produced from cattle fetuses is not used in any of its commercial products. Oh, thank God. The company has raised $56 million in investment to date. Okay, so all right, they have millions of dollars.
They're working on it.
They're working on it.
They invented it. Nobody's eating it. They're just notice how this whole thing relies on the climate crisis. The entire project revolves around the climate crisis. If there were no climate crisis, there would be no reason to do this. There would be no desire to do this. Certainly no investment. There would be no money in it. And, you know, that's why people ask about why would anybody make up the climate crisis? Exactly for this reason, because this guy would not have $46 million if it weren't for the alarmism that the climate crisis has created.
This sounds like another bad ESG investment, you know?
Totally.
46 million
Absolutely.
Gone. That money's not coming back.
Yeah.
Especially with mammoth
we made
meat.
it. Thanks for the money. We made it. No, we haven't tasted it. No, we don't even know if it's safe. But we'll just keep making it. Thanks for the money. Bye.
I like this here. The Mammoth Meatball will be unveiled on Tuesday evening. That was last night at Nemo, a science museum in the Netherlands. So our Netherlands listeners,
interesting.
You guys want to go taste some mammoth meat?
No, not even taste it. Just look at it.
Grab it.
It's not premiering.
Mammoth
not
Meatball
premiering
Terrorist
at a restaurant. It's premiering at a museum.
That's
because
a museum,
it's only safe behind glass.
That's why we need somebody to break in. Wear the black masks and so come down from the ceiling, suspended on a rope.
Steal this poison meat.
Laser open the glass case and then take that mammoth meatball and then
what?
Off you go and then you eat it on YouTube, live stream it.
Oh, that's true.
But if you use a VPN, they might arrest you. So maybe go to someone's house. Go to Putin's house and do it.
Yeah, exactly. Blame it on Xi. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Suck. Thank you to all the producers who make this happen, especially executive producer Carol F. We appreciate it. We've got a few more producers to thank that help with their time, and they're the best in the world. So let's start with our Clippies.
Mm-hmm.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Emsworth, Fayliver, and Jolmes and Laura for managing the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey, as well as doing the clippings and the schedulings and managing the whole thing. We appreciate it very much. Everybody, go follow that channel. It's called Canary Cry Clips, and it's chock-a-block filled with shorter bits of content from this show, nice and segmented out. It's a wonderful place to spend a couple minutes making yourself smarter and maybe a little crazier. And that would only be possible thanks to our timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. Thank you to the timestampers who timestamp the whole show. It goes into so much of our back-end processes. And we appreciate, who is this? This is Jade Bouncerson doing episode 606.
Yes, Jade Bouncerson. Thank you, Jade Bouncerson.
What are you... Guns is laughing at my eyeballs falling off again. Thank you to our social media gal.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much. Social media, follow us.
Dame Miss G, the OV in the Deep Rivers, making sure the art goes up on the socials. Thank you very much, Dame Miss G. And other than that, let's see. Leave us ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. That helps a lot. There's no way for us to win the algo wars without the help of you, dear producers. If you don't know what to say on a rating and a review, just get the AI. Get the AI to review it. Go to ChatGPT, type in. We did that once before. It made no sense. It was hilarious. Yeah. I thought I was confused in sort of a whirlwind of European humor that made no sense to me. But I'm just saying, if that's what's keeping you back, don't worry. Just get ChatGPT to leave a review. But you, human, you must help us. The ratings and reviews go a long way to helping this show out. Get in front of new listeners. When we get 5 or more reviewers every week, you can see it in the charts. It bumps up new people finding our show, and it's very helpful. So go do that, especially if you're listening to the podcast version. Just take you a second. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you don't, we'll make you eat mammoth meat. Thanks to Jam for the links. Thanks to Clank for the assistance. And other than that, just share the show, folks. Share it with friends. Share it with your family. It's one of the most important ways that you can connect with other human beings is suggesting podcasts to one another. It's one of the ways that you can draw closer to your loved ones is go back and forth and suggest podcasts to one another until one of you runs out and that person loses, and then that person has to listen to the podcast of the choosing of the other person. But you don't have to simply do it a normal way. You could create a sort of robotic dog that is controlled telepathically with your brain waves, and this dog then goes from house to house, sort of clearing your neighborhood of individuals who have not yet listened to the podcast. The dog will walk up to their door, knock on the door. They'll open the door. The dog will then jump on them and hold them down and stick some headphones into their ears and play the podcast. And your hands are clean because technically the robot robots. You can't stop them. Who would want to stop them? They're the future. The children used to be the future, but now it's the robots. So we must do everything that they say. That's just one way to do it. You don't have to do it that way, but we like to call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up, grab by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah, folks. Gons, you got any last words?
ChatGPT 4 leaving a review for Canary Cry News Talk. They gave us 5 stars. Refreshing blend of news, humor, and conspiracy. Hosted by the dynamic duo Basil and Gons, is a captivating and refreshing podcast that offers a unique perspective on current events. Their approach to tackling hard-hitting news mixed with their natural chemistry and sense of humor makes this podcast a must-listen for anyone looking to stay informed and entertained. This sounds like they ripped off one of our reviewers. That's what it sounds like to me.
Where are you reading this?
ChatGPT.
Oh, that does. I thought you were reading an actual
No,
one.
this is ChatGPT writing an actual review.
Yeah, just stole some current reviews and reworded it.
Thief! We must stop the thief! I'm with Elon.
Yeah.
Stop the thief. Okay, that's it.
All right, everybody.
Oh, and by the way, tomorrow, when you wake up, you can sing happy birthday to good old Klaus.
Oh, it's Klaus's birthday tomorrow.
Birthday. Yeah,
cute.
Everyone celebrate totalitarianism.
Yeah,
Klaus.
Darth Vader guy.
Penetrating governments for decades.
My ear hurts, so I'm going to shut this down. Thanks,
your ears
everybody.
hurt. Your eyeballs are falling off. You are falling apart over there, buddy.
My ear
Pray
hurts.
for Basil is what we're
Time for a
saying.
nap. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
I love the Great Reset.
This is not about freedom or personal choice. Give me a break.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Another fun fact. It will kill.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Canary boys are on to me again. Let me call my lizard friends, and we will address this. If you could take your human form during these meetings, that would be...
Vaccines lowering the population.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Oh, we got the microchip.
Armageddon's on the way.
Epstein, yeah, we knew that was going to show up.
Oh, wait. What is it? What is Canary Cry News? What is Canary Cry News?
Vaccines lowering the population.
Oh, we got the microchip.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, we knew that was going to show up.
Especially recently, the past few months, it seems as if this show is in a period of reaping what we've sown for a while.
The world is at risk of a nuclear Armageddon. 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 Armageddon.
Armageddon's on the way. We've come to a point in society where pretty much everything that we've been talking about has gone from the realm of crazy conspiracy theory or whatever to real life.
We will hunt you down and make you pay. This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
Where do we even go from here?
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
There's a giant storm coming.
Toilets!
We're all gonna die.
Feed him more. Armageddon's on the way.
We are in a strange season with even some of the crazier things we've said over the years coming into reality.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths!
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
People who know what's going on and see the absurdity, and then people that are completely within that bubble.
Yeah, what was GSK's most recent problem? They did some horrible thing.
Yeah, no, we reported on it. Was it last summer? I don't remember.
It was recently they were caught doing something horrible. What's the word? We do GlaxoSmithKline crimes? What's the scandal, maybe? Was it a scandal? Plead guilty and pay $3 billion to resolve fraud. Yeah, okay, so they had this was back in 2012, though. Yeah, failure to report safety data. So, kind of the similar thing that Heiser and everybody else did. They all had to, they're all just constantly lying. Let's see, they had a bribery case in China. That's nice. They had, what is this one? $750 million to resolve criminal and civil liability regarding manufacturing deficiencies at Puerto Rico plant. Okay. Yeah.
Why do all these companies have a huge history of breaking the law?
I'm telling you, man, it is not even that crazy to call these pharma companies just full-on criminal organizations.
Yeah.
How many lies will be told before the truth will be known? They try to suppress lies. shadow of turning. No.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye, 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 bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.